Good morning and welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View. Celtic news this morning. There's big news with regards to our captain Callum McGregor. So stick around and watch the video and we'll get to that news. But before that, we're going to talk about predicted lineup. We're going to talk about the manager talking about one player that looks like he might actually get a new contract at Celtic after the manager threw down the gauntlet to him at the beginning of the season. And we talk about David Turnbull because the manager is basically, as far as I'm concerned, has basically told David Turnbull he's not good enough, and it's no wonder that he hasn't signed the new contract with Celtic, and it looks like he will move on either at the next window or in the summer. He'll definitely go in the summer, but there's every chance that he might go in the next window. He has told David Turnbull, the manager has told David, he's raised concerns over Turnbull's fitness when it comes to the Champions League. The Celtic manager wants to improve every player, but he has said that he's not fit enough to play in the competition. It doesn't bode well for his future. I don't think it goes well for his. We all know that he's going to move on. It's coming into the final 6 months of his contract. There are rumours that there might be transfer interest in January. There is absolutely no chance we'll get anywhere near the alleged money that's been put around by some people saying that we're going to get 7 million for him. Not a chance. Not a chance when we bought him for just around about 3 million. And there's no chance we're going to more than double our money when he's only got 6 months to go. Turnbull is a midfielder that you either love him or loathe him. He's cracking at scoring goals, but the manager has said when it comes to the Champions League, he's better at sort of sitting in like tight little places and trying to get us a late goal. But when it comes to running around the pitch, he doesn't cut it. He doesn't cut it, I'm afraid, said Brendan Rodgers. Anyway, one player that it looks like he might actually get a new contract with Celtic. The gauntlet was thrown down to the one and only Mikey Johnston. And speaking about Mikey Johnston, the manager did say, he said, Brendan Rodgers said, he looks more robust in his body now than he was when he was first here. He can beat a man, but there's more to it in football. You have to be able to press the game. You have to be able to be synchronised with your team. That's an interesting one by Brendan Rodgers. He went on to talk about Mikey Johnston. He said he certainly, what he's done, he has shown that he can come into the game and make a great impact. I thought his impact and transformation that he's had over this season so far has been quite good. Hopefully he can now show that and he can participate in the game. If he can do that, he will definitely have a bright decade in front of him, says the manager. What do you think about that? Do you think Mikey Johnston might actually be one player that will get a new contract at Celtic? He is in the final year of his contract. Also, looks like David Turnbull's definitely on his way to the door. The fact that he hasn't agreed to sign a new contract with Celtic. And the manager's basically told him, look, you're not fit enough for the Champions League. You don't get around the pitch enough. Right, before we get onto the news about Callum McGregor, let's talk about the game tomorrow night. Speak about the lineup that I think might happen. There will be a live tonight where we can all talk about it, and I'll get your comments on, and we'll talk about the lineup and predicted scorelines. But this is my predicted lineup for the Celtic Hibs game tomorrow evening. So in defence, obviously we're going to go with Joe Hart because let's face it, we don't have another goalkeeper that's good enough to replace Joe Hart at the moment. It's going to be one of those, won't they, in the next window, will we go out and buy a new goalkeeper, or will Celtic do what Celtic do best and they'll wait to the summer, and it'll look more like a panic buy in the summer, or maybe it's going to be the right time to just get the player in. Who knows? Anyway, it's going to be Joe Hart in goal. He'll retain the number one position. Celtic in the back line. Brendan Rodgers has said he likes to keep Cameron Carter-Vickers and Scales as a partnership. They've been playing well together. What does that say for Stephen Welsh? Stephen Welsh must be back fit and ready nearly to go. Nat Phillips, who's only got another month left at Celtic. And then you've got Big Rocky and Gustav Lagerbielke. They're all fighting for two positions. It looks like the big man Nat Phillips will go back to Liverpool. He came in to do a job at the beginning of the season due to the fact that we were short on players. So it is going to be Big Scales and Carter Vickers at the back. Then you're going to go with Alistair Johnson, who's been first choice right back since he basically came in. And Greg Taylor, who's you either love him or loathe him. A few seasons ago, before Ange Postecoglou came in, everyone wanted Greg Taylor out the team. We've been crying out for a left back over the last couple of seasons. We brought in Alexandro Bernabe Bernabe hasn't quite made it, but he has been amongst the substitutes. He has made the bench over the past couple of weeks. He could finally challenge Greg Taylor, because let's face it, Greg Taylor hasn't had a great start to the season, but Greg Taylor and Alistair Johnson will start, and that will make the back four as normal. The midfield, well, the undroppable Callum McGregor. There is big news that I'm going to tell you about Callum McGregor and what the manager has said about Callum McGregor. He will obviously go into the middle of the pitch along with Matt O'Reilly, and I think you might be surprised in the position that Callum McGregor plays tomorrow evening. When you look at other people that could be, you've also got Paulo Bernardo. I think Paulo Bernardo could possibly come back into the pitch also. And tell me what you think about that in the comments. You've got Turnbull. I think Turnbull will make the bench. Odon Omo will make the bench, and Tomoki Iwata might come on, but you never know. In attack with Leo Levada and Dyson Maida just weeks away, you're going to have Mikey Johnston. I think he will get a start. So you're going to have, for me, in the midfield, you're going to have O'Reilly, McGregor, and Bernardo is going to be the midfield three. And then up front, Kyogo. What did we say? We need more. Kyogo needs to get more of the ball. For me, Mikey Johnston and Palmer need to be getting in more crosses. Is it time that we drop one of those two and go with a two up front? 3-5-2. Look at it this way. If Hibs are going to sit back and play the way they're going to, I think you could be in with a shout to drop Taylor. Would be an interesting one, and go with the back three. Scales, Carter Vickers, and Johnson for me. And then bring on Big O up front. Keep your Bernardo, McGregor, O'Reilly. But Bernardo is an attacking midfield player. Can he sit further back? Can he sit in the sort of defensive midfield role and allow Callum McGregor to push further forward? Because that's what's going to happen, and that's the news that is coming up. So you're going to have a front three of Palma, Johnson, and Kyogo Fury Ashi. I think Marco Tillo could make the bench along with James Forrest. And we'll see which one of those players then get onto the pitch on Wednesday, because let's face it, at Celtic Park, it'll be interesting to see what substitutions are made around about the 60-minute mark. Now, Brendan Rodgers has spoken about the January transfer window, and he's obviously looking to bring in at least 4 players. It's been suggested that Celtic could spend upwards of £15 million in the January transfer window, just to make sure that they get the players in that they feel that they need for certain positions to go forward, win the league, and get ready for the Champions League next season. With players like Turnbull, Bernardo, Odin Ohm, and Tomoki Iwata playing alongside Callum McGregor, it has been suggested by the manager that he will revert Callum McGregor. Thankfully, at last, he will push Callum McGregor further forward. We've seen him do that up at Perth. Callum McGregor playing further forward, and we got the rewards for it. He got that goal obviously from the corner, but somebody who's played throughout the game was saying that he did get that kick up the back end along with his teammates at the weekend. One of the areas that he wants to prove, and obviously we played David Turnbull, said the manager. We play him to his strengths and with the greatest respects. David Turnbull plays in sort of low block areas when we're trying to nick a goal. Getting around the pitch is not David Turnbull's forte, which is an interesting one. So I think pushing Callum McGregor further forward, and then could that then bring in Tomoki Iwata? Leave out Paulo Bernardo. Tomoki Iwata can play in the position that Callum is currently enjoying. Not enjoying, because we all feel that he's not playing at his best when he's sitting further back. Could Celtic then bring in Tomoki Iwata and to sit in that position, or Paulo Bernardo and push Callum McGregor further forward? The manager has said that Callum has played that deeper role for a few years, but moving him forward is something that I've thought about. Get him further forward. We all know what the Calmac can do when he's running the game for Celtic that little bit further forward. He did play that when Scott Brown was sitting further back. He is not a Scott Brown type player. We don't like to see him sitting back the way that Scott Brown did towards the end of his career. Now you've got to remember that Callum is getting on a bit age-wise, and it's amazing to think that we've had Callum so long, but the manager is not too risk-averse now to pushing Callum McGregor further forward at last, because let's face it, all us sitting in the sofas back home, sitting on the terraces at Celtic Park, have all said it. Callum is not the same player that he was. He's sitting far too far back. We are not getting the best out of Callum McGregor. The manager has now seen that with his own eyes and thought, right, okay, maybe it's time to push Callum further forward and start getting this team and do what Callum does best. Callum's better when he's on his front foot. So join us in the live tonight at 6 p.m. Celtic Park time. Make sure you give this video a massive thumbs up and share it on Twitter and any other social media platforms. That would be absolutely fantastic to get the reach out to as many Celtic fans as possible. So on that note, have a fantastic day, Celtic fans all around the world.